Welcome to the Infinite Podcast. My name is Carlos Andres Ruiz, and today we have our third guest. We have another male. We need some females to start to hop on so that I can be in the control room and Mel can come here and have conversations. But without further ado, this is normally when you introduce people, you give all of the accolades, and I honestly, one of the highest forms of recognition for me is when I get to call you a friend. Like, just being a friend is something that really, for me, holds so much value. And in our conversation, we'll get a little bit more into what he does. But today with us, we have Rodney Landaverde. What's good, bro? It's always good It's always good to sit and converse with you. One of the things that I learned as I started doing this podcast with Mel was that some people would listen and they'd be like, well, like, you know who she is, and your players and the parents that you work with know who she is, but anybody listening to this podcast for the first time have no clue who Melissa is. So we had to do a whole episode of origin stories. You probably heard it because you listen to our podcast. Oh, yeah. But let's start with that. Let's start with, who is Rodney Landaverde?
Man, it's a lot to unfold right there.
we gotta unpack it.
Yeah. Everything. Well, first thing, I mean, I met you coaching, which is great. Yeah. But Rodney, from Everett, still working Everett, back giving everything I can to Everett. Yeah. Family's from El Salvador, so everything's all circled up right there. Grew up in Everett as well, still there. Yeah. And
have you ever left Everett?
I have never left.
Oh, wow.
So I still live there and everything. I've, traveled to other cities.
What hospital were you born in?
Boston Medical Center.
Okay, that's the one time you left Everett.
That's it.
You went to Boston.
That's the only time.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know. Have you traveled?
I've been to El Salvador twice.
Oh, okay.
2 times. And first time I was 8. Last time was 2 summers ago, and it was a big difference to learn all that.
What was that like?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Honestly, my best part, milking the cows. 100%.
Milking the cows?
100%. Oh yeah.
I've never touched the cows.
It's an experience. It's not easy, man. I total respect to all those people.
What made you want to milk a cow?
I just wanted to feel what it was like to be from El Campo. Like you're just out here. You're in the city all the time. You don't know what it's like to get your hands dirty and feel what it's like.
When I was prepping for, not that I prepped a lot, but I didn't think we were gonna talk about cows.
That's the beauty of the podcast.
Did you? Is it true that the milk tastes better as soon as it comes out?
I didn't try it because I was told I could get sick because I'm not used to it.
Oh,
but afterwards, my uncle.
You tried it?
Got me a little.
How was it? Was it different?
Oh, it was fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, total difference.
That's
funny.
And so you milked a cow when you were 8, or
not recently.
The second.
Yeah.
Okay. When was that?
2 years ago. So I was 23.
23. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna get to go to Colombia for the first time in like 25 years.
Wow.
I don't think I'm gonna be milking any animal, but Melissa loves animals, so maybe she'll convince me to do so. Yeah. But I do want to go back to Colombia to experience some of that more, a little bit more of nature. I feel like we're a little bit detached from nature. Absolutely. Aside from being on soccer fields which is also fake grass, right. Yeah. But anyways, tell us more about Rod. So Rod was born in Everett. Yep. You have lived in Everett your entire life, and you've gone to El Salvador a couple times. Yeah. What does Rod do for a living?
Well, you could say I'm an educator, but I'm a high school teacher at Everett High School. Okay. And I teach science, so I teach anatomy and physiology, and I just started a new class, exercise and sport physiology. Oh. Which is what I went to school for. Okay. College.
Okay. And so where did you go to college?
UMass Boston. So I stayed in the area as well. Okay. I didn't dorm, so stayed at home.
So you lived Everett but commuted?
Yeah, I commuted.
You took public transportation, or you drove?
Yeah, at first public transportation, and then I started driving and made it easier.
All right. Yeah. So what's the new class that you started teaching?
Exercise and sport physiology.
Okay. Yeah. Why sports physiology?
So growing up as an athlete, it was what I was around with all the time. And the science side of it, I liked it, kind of figuring out why this hurts, why that hurts, how muscles worked. And I've also always liked medicine, the health field as well. Okay. So I was like, what can I do that involves both science, sports, health, and helping people? Because I think that was a big part of me growing up. I always wanted to help people.
When you say always, like, I need like an age, like, unless like you were 10 and you were like, I want to do this, or like, was there a moment? Did you want to play soccer before this came around, or did you want to do this before you interacted with sports?
I think it's something you learn as you grow. But just even as a young age, like with teammates and things like that at school, I was kind of always the first one to ask someone if they needed something, or if like someone's like, hey, does anyone know the answer? I would jump in.
Healer.
And just, healer, 100%. Right away. Yeah. Little did I know.
Yeah, little did you know. Okay, and then, so that was more of like the academics side of things. And then you were also an athlete.
Right.
When did you start playing soccer?
When I was 4 years old. That was my first like organized session.
How did you know that you liked soccer?
It was, honestly, I think it just happens. Like I remember I have a ton of pictures of me like kicking a ball in diapers and like, just having a ball with me in pictures and stuff like that. Played my first game when I was 6.
Okay.
And it's funny because no one signed me up. The way it worked out,
I showed up?
Well, I got signed up, but what happened was at school we had mailboxes in first grade, and there was a paper that was on the ground, and my mailbox was the only empty one. So I picked up the paper, I read it, and it said like town soccer signups, and I was like, soccer, awesome. So I gave it to my dad.
Wait, how old were you?
6.
You could read at 6?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Not great, but I could read.
Continue.
And I was like, I saw the soccer ball. I was like, this is it.
That's it.
Yeah, and from there, you know, the journey begins where you just try everything and you meet a million people.
Yeah, and so from the first game at 6, when was your last game?
Last official game was when I was in high school, so I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that journey from 6 to 17. What did soccer teach you?
Man, it was great. Like all the good, all the bad, all the running, all the.
What were you? Let's do this. What were you best at? If you had to pick, you look at your entire soccer career. From 6 to 17.
6 to 17. What was I best at? It's funny. It was not even like technical. I was just listening.
Huh.
Like I always considered myself such a coachable player that if a coach asked me, all right, I need you to jump, I would always ask how high. I didn't even I didn't care like, oh, you want me to, no, I was like, how high you want me to jump? Yeah. And then I would jump.
Wow.
And then it was also like, all right, work on your, first touch or work on your shot. All right, how do I do that? And I think that's what kind of allowed me to grow in soccer and then translated to the future as well.
That's interesting. I've never heard that to be the answer. That listening was your biggest skill set as an athlete. You're a coach now at Everett High School. How do you teach a player to even just consider that that's an attribute?
It's not easy. And I also don't think it's something you can directly teach.
Okay. How did you learn it, or how did
That's interesting. I think I taught
from home. Or?
I taught myself that, which is odd to say at a young age, like how you teach yourself to do things, but you kind of through experience. A lot of things is through experience, and I think the morals you learn at home is very important as well. How your parents talk to you, how they lead you in the everyday life, chores, responsibilities, things like that. And I learned quickly that in order to do something that I liked, I had to listen first, right? You can't go outside unless you do your homework. You can't go to practice if you don't do your homework. Or if you have bad grades, soccer's out. And I think that allowed me to translate it into the game where if a coach said, if you want to be a starter, you need to do this. So I would do it.
You finished playing at 17. And then what was your relationship with the game? Were you just playing pickup? And then, because I know eventually you became a coach. At what age?
I started coaching after my last year in high school. So at 17, I started coaching.
Oh, you started coaching at 17?
Yeah, volunteering, just, little kids, helping out. At 19, I got my first team.
Okay.
And every year I kind of just kept, it was a U6 or a U8 team that I was involved with. And I was running drills, setting up everything, and, I had my own team at that point. Okay. And from then I just kept going. I didn't really play after high school because my relationship with the game wasn't the greatest because of the season I had. And I was like, let me just...
Say more.
Yeah, my senior season wasn't great because, I think the relationship I had with the game didn't line up with what my teammates' relationships were with the game.
Okay, give me examples.
So as a captain my senior year, I wanted to win. You work up all 4 years to, be the best personally, individually. And then as a team, you want to kind of spread that out as well and make sure that everyone's at their best. But we weren't on the same wavelength at all times. And I think because we also had a young group, there was a lot of sophomores on that team, they were still learning what playing high school was like. So we would win some games, but then we would lose games or tie games that easily could have been won if we were, I guess, mature enough as a team, not individually.
Yeah.
And that set us back a couple games, there were a lot of differences.
And which of your 4 years in high school would you say was the one in which your relationship with the game and your teammates was the best?
I'd say between going into my junior year, sophomore year, going into my junior year.
Okay.
Because I knew that the team had been building up. The league itself was also very competitive at the time, where everyone just wanted to battle each other and just, get a win wherever it was. And we also had a team with a lot of players that had a lot of talent, and a lot of us had known each other for a lot of years. And it was probably one of the best seasons in the high school in recent times. So I also wanted to fight for a spot that, like, someone at my size and my age wasn't really dominating. So it was also personal for me, too, to challenge myself.
Yeah. You say that your relationship with the game was affected. It was probably more your relationship with the player stage of the game.
Yeah.
Because you still wanted to continue to be connected to the game to some degree.
Right.
Once you stopped the soccer player stage of your career, how did you remain connected in the game? Did you just go right into coaching, or was there a mix of playing and coaching, or was there a gap with like nothing of soccer? Yeah,
there was. I mean, the season ended, and then I kind of just, did what any high schooler does. You just do school and kind of just relax for a bit. And then I saw that the town program needed some help, so I was like, all right, I'll get involved somehow. I don't really want to play. I just want to be around, other players and kind of teach them what it takes.
Yeah.
I also felt, because my relationship was negative with the game, maybe I could change that in a different generation, right? Teach them how to do things properly rather than just, let's go play, you know? Because I feel like there's also a time and place for those things.
What would you say are some of those things that you wanted to teach to change that relationship?
The discipline of the game, the importance of understanding why you play and why you should learn certain things, and make it fun. Okay. Because I'm also a strong believer that if you're not having fun in whatever you're doing, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. What is the why? Like, what's the why to play?
Why to play, or why fun?
What's the why of the game?
Why of the game for me has always been to pursue something better than yourself. So to challenge yourself, not just physically, but also mentally. How to remain focused in a 90-minute game. How to remain focused in a 10-minute drill where all you have to do is pass the ball. In a variety of different scenarios we can go about all day, but I always thought it was important to respect the game in that aspect too, because it is a privilege to play whatever sport it is. And for me, it was soccer.
To pursue something greater than yourself?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I always struggle with the word pursue. So I guess my question is, did you ever reach, or have you reached moments, or have you reached something greater than yourself?
That's a great question, because it's something I think about from time to time, and I think that's what kind of led me into coaching. I think because I didn't achieve, in my mind, something greater than who I was as a player, I could continue that as a coach. And obviously, because I got older, there's other generations that are younger than me that can have the potential to do that. And I want to be the ones to help them. And even if it's not long term, in a short term, have them change that mindset of, kind of like, I'm content with where I'm at.
When was the last time you were content with where you're at?
Man, that's tough to think about. I mean, probably when I started teaching for a bit. Okay. Because I'm like, all right, I graduated. I got a job that's stable enough. I'm good here. But life works in great ways that it was like, no, you know what? Here's another challenge. And then I'm going to challenge you in a different way.
How long did that content moment last?
Probably briefly.
Briefly?
Yeah. Because I enjoyed it, and I felt like, all right, I'm good for now. But then different opportunities came about, as a teacher, that was like, all right, you're going to have to, like, step it up,
I'm always fascinated by that. internal desire to find this thing that's greater, and I see it so often as I see it in the sports arena a little bit more, that it's almost like it's never there's never a destination that you just feel like I finally got there, like I got to pursue, I'm done. There's always something next, and I just would love to know what it is that next can possibly be, that somebody's like, no, it's good. Like I did. I remember Messi when he finished the World Cup, he was like, I think he was looking at his family. He's like, ya está, or something like that. Like it's over. And I don't know. I get a bit of this uncomfortable feeling when I see so much of a pursue, because, and maybe I've shared this with you before, but every time that you put the word pursue before something, it always means that you're not there. And so if you're always pursuing something better, you're also acknowledging that you're not good enough. And what a dangerous life that can be if you wake up every morning. I don't know if our soul has language. I do feel that our soul has the capacity to feel and understand. And so I don't know if it understands the difference in language between I want to be better and I'm not good enough. And so when we wake up, that might feel the same, because you're technically saying the same things on both ends. And so I wonder, when you talk about, I want to help the younger versions of me that you get to coach now, I want to help them get to maybe where I didn't get. Where is that?
It's funny, right? Because we kind of don't have an answer. We might feel like we do.
Yeah.
My pursuit, and kind of how I try to think about it, and we spoke about this recently about the word remain. My goal has always been to pursue something better, but also remain in that state and control it if I can.
Pursue something better and remain in that state.
So if there's moments where it drops, to not let those negative moments or those low moments kind of derail the course of the journey that I wanted.
But is there like an example of better, or like an example of something that you attain that, like, can I remain in this? For example, I don't know, something that comes to mind is like, okay, can we get 500 and remain in 500, or is less about the actual numbers, or like, let's remain to get 50% clean sheets? Like, is there an actual tangible goal, or no?
I think there isn't, because everything is situational sometimes, right? Like in a season, maybe you lost 2 games. Next time you don't want to lose any. But you also need to look at the situation as like, is that something that's possible, or should we pursue that only 2 losses, but let's make sure that it's not in the beginning of the season, or it's not at the end, or it's not against the same teams. Or instead of having multiple players being negative towards each other, or having a lot of players kind of just not be in the mix, right? Regardless of what the record is for the season, our goal this year should be, let's be more of a team. Let's collaborate together. Let's support each other.
And then remain becomes equivalent to that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last year was your first year as the head coach of Everett High School, and I got the privilege to work with you. And I remember senior night. It was a special night, and I think the first time you talked to me about it before it happened was like, it's gonna be a movie, you said.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was actually gonna be a movie. It was a crazy night, and it was a perfect night for the seniors. Yeah. We beat a team that had beaten us 6-1, I think.
Yeah.
And we won that night 2-0, and it was one of the best performances, atmospheres. It's almost like we hit almost like the peak of the season. Yeah. And you leave that night almost like, I want to hold on to this and almost hold on to it, or maybe I wish it ended here, because can we recreate that? And we had the next game against BC High.
Yeah.
And when we were warming up, I could feel that it's almost as if we left everything that night, and we couldn't pick it up and keep going with it. We couldn't remain with that atmosphere, and there were so many things, like the fans, the stands were full. It was under the lights.
And no lights at some point.
And no lights, and no lights at some point. The lights turned off mid-game, and we're like in the middle of the city, like the highways there, and so everything's buzzing. Like the energy is just going, and you fast forward to the next game, and the other team starts with the ball. And they shoot the ball. I've never seen this in my life.
No.
They shot the ball from the kickoff into our goal, and it was night and day compared from that beautiful night to the start of this new game. And the question that just kept coming to my mind was, why is it that there's that disconnect, and is it that what an athlete likes is the spotlight and not the sport? And as I battle that question in so many spaces that I get to be in, I haven't really found a scenario in which I can prove that the athlete or the coach loves the sport more than the spotlight. Does Rodney love the spotlight or the sport?
I mean, I think as humans, we love the spotlight, even if it's short term, because it's nice to feel recognized for whatever it is that you're pursuing or you want to achieve. But I feel like you got to break it down to why you do it. You know, like
why you do what you do, or why you like the spotlight?
Why you do what you do. You know, like if I liked coaching, I think I'd coach at almost any sport, right? I'd coach tennis, golf, sports that I'm not good at, or anything like that. But I think I just love the game so much that I want to coach soccer because it's given a lot to me, especially from a young age. It also took a lot away from me, and I can't say that I love the spotlight more than the game. But there are moments where you have to, you know, accept it and kind of be like, yeah, like, you know, it feels nice to be recognized, or it feels nice to be a head coach and to lead a group of players to whatever it is, even if it's just like short-term season where you're just having fun and trying to learn. But the game just, I feel like you have to respect it in a sense.
Like you feel like the game is more of the driving force, and then you get the spotlight out of it, as opposed to the spotlight drives and then the game.
For me, definitely the game drives that, because if you do all the right things, the spotlight will come to you. But if your mind shifts to the spotlight when that happens, that's when you start to lose the love for the game, and that can't happen.
Yeah, I'm still in the season where I think the spotlight is what drives us.
Yeah.
Because I would agree with the fact that I could coach any sport, and if I was good at it, or if I was equipped with the material to teach that sport, I would just run with that sport.
Yeah.
But I think that's connected with the fact that I'm good at the sport. And so I think it's the desire for the spotlight that drives us to any vehicle. I wonder if it's the same thing when you're looking for a career. Like, it's more that you want to be good at your career. I don't think people necessarily pick the worst thing that they're at to go do that. And in fact, we've created a world where you get paid for what you're good at. But we can continue the spotlight conversation later, because I want to dig a little bit more into the next season of your story, which is coaching. And last Friday, I got the opportunity to work with the group that was struggling in their season, and they were on a losing record, and they need to win a specific amount of games in order to make playoffs, similar to our team. And I was asked to come and speak to them, and the line that really came into my brain was that when you can't brag about what you do, it reveals whether you love it or not. And this season, we had more losses than we had wins. And so I just want, for anybody that's listening that is inside of the sports world, whether you're a coach, whether you're an athlete, I want us to speak on sitting in the middle of a losing season, and what does that feel like? And not just like, what do we get out of it, like the nice message that can come out of a loss, but like, what does it feel like being inside of a season where things don't go your way? What did they reveal to you? And what were some things that you feel like also were factors and variables? Because our season was so unique, and I don't think anybody really had to deal with the outside factors that we dealt with.
Correct.
For us to still be one game away from playoffs. But speak a little bit about this past season and the uniqueness of this season from the point of view of being the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, going into my second year, there's a lot of pressure externally from other people, from the school, from myself. I would say internally probably was the one that was higher than all of them, because at the end of the day, that's the person who you're with at all times. So I had very big expectations, more than even last year, because once you get a year under your belt, you understand how things run a little better. And knowing the players we had coming up as well, I thought, you know what, regardless of what grade they're in, I think we have the opportunity to beat anybody, whoever it is, with the right time and focus and attention. And then you experience a couple ties, a couple wins, a couple losses, and then the losses accumulate. It's funny how it quickly shifts.
The first tie was against one of the best teams in the state.
Right,
huh?
one of the best ones in the state.
Jesus.
So that kind of set the tone for the remainder of the season. How like, okay, if we could do that, who knows what we're capable of, right? Only we do.
Yeah.
And as the games went going on and everything felt great, we lost a couple players who couldn't continue with us for external reasons.
Yep.
And I think that affected the morale of everybody, not just the players, but also the staff, and how we looked at, what do we do next? How do we find a replacement? How do we approach the day-to-day? And I think...
Are you comfortable sharing, not player specific, but like what were some of the things that happened?
Yeah, so there were, at first, there was a player who had just come back from Florida. He moved to Everett with some of his uncles and aunts, and his dad was back home in Brazil. He told me he planned on staying, and that was his plan for the whole rest of the school year, finish his last year. But then his dad said, due to safety reasons, he didn't want him to stay. And he was part of our, one of the important players in the squad that was going to stay, so he had to leave. Then we had one of our captains, who probably one of the best role models, honestly, I've ever met, and that says a lot for someone who, even as a coach, like to look at someone who's 18, already being a man and doing the things he does. He, again, for safety reasons, had to leave, and him and his family just left for Brazil from one day to the next mid-season. And then we had two younger players who their dad, unfortunately, had to go through a couple things and was taken away from them. So they all just packed up and left after a couple weeks. So, the practice sessions weren't exactly as we programmed them. We didn't know who was going to show up at times. And we had other players on the team as well who their families and close and extended families were affected. So mentally, I feel like our focus was not on the game. It was more on surviving the day. And I think sometimes, as coaches, we're like, hey, let's just survive this game. We'll figure out the next one. And that's not the game you're supposed to have, right? You're supposed to have time to prep, have time to play, have fun with it as well. But when other things are controlling it, you can't have fun. So personally, I felt that I was getting challenged in ways that I was not prepared for. And usually I encounter them like, all right, I don't get it. Let me figure it out. Let's see what I can do.
Let me listen.
Right. Let me listen real quick and see what things around me can help. And that's when there's a lot of things that go on. You see a game you should have won and you don't, and you're like, am I the problem here? Or maybe I didn't explain it properly to the players. Maybe they didn't get it, but it's my fault because I didn't say it properly, right? Because I'm never one to judge a younger player or any player in general. I like to make sure I cover my bases and listen to them to make sure they know what I'm talking about. So there were times where I doubted myself for sure. And, I still try to remain positive regardless of what the result was because, again.
How do you fight that battle? Because sometimes something that, as a coach, I feel that we don't have is a well done from anybody, and there's something about a well done that just, as a player, you're like, oh, okay, I made a lot of mistakes, but I did one thing right. In those moments when you doubt yourself, how do you fight back?
I always like to reflect the day, at the end of the day, of everything, how I woke up, did I go to the gym, did I eat the right foods, did I drink water? how are my players doing? Check in on them, make sure I did all that I could possibly do. And I reflect on all the good things first, because I feel like as humans, we do more good than we actually think we do.
Yeah.
And then think on the maybe not so good choices or things we neglected during the day, or the things we forgot about, didn't put too much care towards. And I kind of do that to myself so that I can give myself an evaluation of like, all right, how actually were you? And I'm okay with accepting things that I didn't do right, because I think that's the way you grow.
Yeah.
So I reflect a lot. I talk to close people. So as members on the staff, I like to, talk to them and see what their point of view is. I wouldn't have them on the staff if I didn't respect them. So I like to see their point of views. I started a journal recently too, which it feels nice. Even when I read back onto it, I'm like, oh, that's what I was thinking. Okay, that's nice.
It's crazy.
I also try to just, have a goldfish brain, like we talk about.
What is a goldfish brain?
It's a 10-second rule where you do something, good or bad, 10 seconds later, all right, on to the next. Yeah. And it's...
Sometimes it bites you in the butt, though, because the kids forget.
The kids forget. When they forget, it's not good. But when something bad happens or something that you made a mistake on, it's okay
so useful.
To, approach it. All right, I did this, fix the next one.
Yeah. Whatever I don't even know off the top of my head what the numbers of the wins and losses and ties are, but it can't capture the difficulties of the season and the perseverance of the season, and how I've never experienced a season like this, where you're calling me at 7 a.m. and it's like, hey, by the way, our captain is leaving the country.
Yeah. Just
and I think it speaks to when you look at the end of the season and the guys are still showing up yesterday to the last game of the season and winning the last game, when it doesn't matter if you win or lose, there's nothing on the other side.
Correct.
It's something that's not tangible. It's a result that you can't brag about or show people, but only the people that were there get to harness it and feel that we reached an expression of ourselves that had all of these things not happen, we wouldn't have the opportunity to do so. So one, I thank you for allowing me to be part of this season. And if you were to say what you are proud of most as a team and as a head coach for this past season, what would you say?
I would start with the team. Proudest thing overall is just their positivity. I'm not sure if I would have had that positivity at that age, knowing how many things are going on, still trying to fight for the league or fight for playoff opportunity. And it was interesting to me how, like, in school, positive, out of school, positive. They would mess up, positive. I would harp on them about certain things, and they'd be like, okay, coach, they would understand it. After practice, positive. Just looking towards the next thing. And then individually, I feel like as the season went on, I became a little more controlled with my emotions, not going too negative because we already had enough of that, but also not going too high up where it was like we're just going to forget about competing and just having fun, because first thing is to get the competition in, but also have fun with it, right? Because it's such a short period of time, like a game, a practice session, a season itself, it's so short. But the days feel long sometimes. This was probably the first season ever where I looked at myself in the calendar, was like, it's over? And it wasn't, I guess if someone wants to say a great season on paper, I had fun, and that was the main thing as well that I said last year, that my first group taught me how to have fun again. And I think that's so important as an adult, because you kind of don't have time for that always.
Yeah.
And to know that a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds could like look at me and be like, hey, coach, like this is all right. We got this. I think that also taught me a lot, that it's okay to not just always be so serious or be so strict on certain things, So finding that balance and kind of like managing it, I'd say was one of the best things personally I feel like I did this year, which last year helped me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree. I don't think we play enough. The older we get, the less we play. When I was in the locker room talking to this team, the biggest thing that I wanted to help him was almost to detox, and how polluted the soccer players inside becomes, because there's the pollution of results, there's the pollution of standards, there's the pollution of playing time, there's all these things that pollute the purity of the soccer player, which forgets that we play. And when I drive through playgrounds, I tell Mel, I was like, what the hell is the point of a playground? You can't win or lose in a playground. It was like, yeah, you just play. Right. And we were designed to just play. And our best version lives inside of being able to play. And the difficult thing about being inside of sports is that it's consumed by you win or you lose, and you forget that, no, sport is to play. And I really think that this season was so rich. It had so much texture inside of the good and bad. But being able to show up every day with the hope of seeing each other and improving, and aside from what the result was, like the fact that we showed up with all of those circumstances still showed that I want to go play. You know, this was my playground. And hopefully the older we get, we don't lose that. We'll close only because we have to go, but if not, we could go for hours. Absolutely. Maybe we do a series, a part 2 series, because I do think that there's so much richness, and we love to connect all of the stories to how they affect relational intelligence, emotional intelligence, and character development. And I think a losing season actually elevates all 3 of those in a way in which a season in which you win it all can't. The last thing is, just thinking about our conversation today, what would you have as a takeaway, or what's something that you would tell Rodney before he steps into the next high school season as the head coach?
It's a very loaded question. I like it. That's good. Honestly, continue to listen. I think that was a big factor becoming a head coach and being a leader amongst, teenagers who are going to be men pretty soon. Teaching them how to listen, but also myself listening to them, their needs, their wants as well. I had one of our captains this year, he told me the other day that now that he's done, this was the best season he had in 4 years.
Wow.
And for me to hear that, it had a big impact because I only coached him for 2 of them. And to know that his last one, not because it was senior year, and despite everything that happened, and he didn't play playoffs, he said this was the year he enjoyed the most.
Wow.
And I think going into this program that I have now, what I've focused on is listening to them. And it's been such a big role in my everyday life as a teacher as well, meeting people's needs and also kind of managing myself. Continue to listen, because people say things, whether it's with their voice or their body language, they're telling you how they feel. And once you know that, then you can kind of gauge the next step.
Beautiful. That's one of the main reasons I enjoy this podcast, because it gives me an opportunity to shut up and listen to the person that's in front of me. And you can only learn when you're listening. Anytime you're talking, you're saying things that you already know. And so, Rod, thank you so much for taking some time out of your Friday.
Of course.
I am convinced that there will be more episodes where you're going to be coming in. Maybe we do a little series. But if you're watching and you're looking for one thing that you can do in any domain, listen. Thank you so much, Rod. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys next episode.